"Oh, honey, didn't you check your bag? You don't have a ticket anymore." That was the last thing my mother said to me before she boarded the plane home, leaving me stranded at the gate in Paris. She scanned 3 boarding passes, hers, my father's, and my sister Beatrice's. Mine was gone. I tried to grab her arm, but Beatrice shoved me hard, slipping a black passport into my open tote bag. Seconds later, the security alarm screamed. Armed French police swarmed me, shouting commands I didn't understand. I looked back at the gate, begging for help. My family wasn't panicking. They weren't crying. They were walking down the jet bridge, leaving me to be arrested in a foreign country with a stolen passport in my bag. Before I tell you what they planned to do with my inheritance while I was locked in a foreign cell, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? And what time is it for you right now? I sat in a glass-walled detention room that smelled like industrial cleaner and stale coffee. Most people would be crying. Most people would be screaming for a lawyer or begging the stone-faced guard for a phone call. But I didn't cry. I calculated. I'm a forensic accountant. My job is to look at a mess of numbers and find the story they're trying to hide. So I looked at my situation like a balance sheet. Item 1. My mother took my real passport. Item 2. My sister planted a stolen passport in my bag. Item 3. This specific passport was reported lost yesterday, which meant a mandatory 48-hour identity hold while French authorities verified who I was. Why 48 hours? Then it clicked. The realization hit me harder than the cold metal chair I was sitting on. My grandmother's trust fund. $2,500,000. It was set to mature tomorrow at noon. There was a specific clause in the fine print, the absentee clause. If the primary beneficiary couldn't be located or contacted within 24 hours of the maturity date, administrative control temporarily reverted to the next of kin, my parents. They didn't just want to ruin my vacation. They needed me to vanish for exactly 2 days so they could legally steal $2.5 million. It was brilliant. It was evil. And I was trapped in a glass box while they were probably ordering champagne in first class. The door buzzed open. I expected a detective. Instead, a man walked in who looked like he owned the airport. He wore a charcoal suit that cost more than my car, and he moved with the kind of predatory grace you usually see in sharks or investment bankers. He didn't sit. He stood by the door, studying me like I was a column of figures he couldn't quite get to add up. "Ellie Miller," he said. His voice was low, devoid of sympathy. "Top of your class at Wharton. Specialized in forensic audits for distressed assets. You have a reputation for finding money that doesn't want to be found." I straightened my spine. "Who are you?" "Sebastian. I run a venture capital firm in New York. We have a mutual problem. My problem is a stolen passport and a family that framed me," I said. "What's yours?" "My problem is a merger happening in 3 days. I have a partner who is scheming off the top, but he's good. Too good. My regular auditors can't find the leak." He checked his watch. "I need someone who isn't on the payroll. Someone desperate enough to work fast and quiet." He tossed a file onto the metal table. It wasn't my police file. It was a contract. "I have friends at the embassy. I can have you walked out of here in 20 minutes as a diplomatic consultant. You get on my jet, you fly back to New York, you find my missing money. And in return?" I asked. "In return? You get your freedom. You get back to New York before your trust fund deadline passes. And I pay you $20,000 for the job." I looked at him. This wasn't a rescue mission. He didn't care about my feelings or my family trauma. He saw a resource he could exploit. It was the most honest offer I'd received in years. "Make it $30,000, I said. "And you cover my legal fees if my family tries to contest the will." Sebastian smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of a man who just closed a profitable deal. "Done." I stood up. I didn't look back at the guard or the glass box. I walked out of that room, not as a victim, but as a partner. My family thought they had discarded me. They didn't realize they had just pushed me into the big leagues. The cabin of Sebastian's private jet was quieter than a library and colder than a morgue. He sat across from me, reviewing a merger agreement, while I stared at the dossier his team had compiled on my family. It was impressive. In less than an hour, they had pulled bank records, emails, and the full text to my grandmother's trust. I flipped to page 4. There it was, the absentee clause. In the event the primary beneficiary cannot be located or is deemed legally incapacitated 48 hours prior to disbursement, administrative power transfers to the secondary guardians. My parents. They didn't just want the money. "Bring the paperwork. We'll have the check ready." Marcus hung up. The room was silent. I looked at the screen, at the disconnect notification. My father hadn't just agreed to a loan. He had just agreed to commit a federal felony to steal my money. He didn't care if I was sick. He didn't care if I was in jail. He just wanted the check. Sebastian slid a folder toward me. The affidavit is airtight, he said. Once they sign, it's a confession. I took the pen. My hand was steady. Let's go, I said. I don't want to be late for my own funeral. From behind one-way glass, I watched my family celebrate around the check on the table. Champagne flowed. Beatrice snapped selfies. My father whispered about loan sharks and deadlines. My mother reassured him they just needed signatures. They weren't stealing from me, they believed they were saving me. It's time, I said. I walked into the room. Silence fell. My mother dropped her glass. My father went pale. You haven't signed yet. I nodded, picking up the affidavit. You were about to commit perjury, I said calmly. Sign it, Dad. 5 to 10 years in federal prison. I dare you. He froze. The trap had sprung. Then Beatrice smiled. She held up my stolen phone. I accessed your firm's server, she said. Downloaded your top clients' files. An email to the ethics board goes out in 10 minutes. Your career or your inheritance? Choose. I opened my laptop. That passcode wasn't a mistake, I said. It was bait. The wall monitor lit up security logs, locations, timestamps. My phone had been in French police custody when the breach occurred. You committed international cyber fraud using a stolen device, I said. That triggers an automatic FBI alert. Her face collapsed. A man in the corner stood, the loan's proxy lawyer. He stamped the affidavit. I'm a court-appointed notary and mandatory fraud reporter, he said. That signature makes this perjury and wire fraud. Sebastian checked his watch. The detectives have been listening next door. 2 plainclothes officers entered. Beatrice dropped the phone. My parents panicked. You wanted my career or my inheritance, I said quietly. You lose both. Handcuffs clicked. No shouting, just consequences. 3 weeks later, I signed the final document in my new corner office. Sebastian and I dissolved our contract. No drama, just respect. I booked a one-way first-class ticket to Paris. They said family is everything. They were wrong. Freedom is.